Hello and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest Bethesda news, rumors, and speculation, and yesterday's video was kinda heavy on that speculation salt, but we're not out of the speculation country yet, because at the end of today's video I am going to revisit an additional discovery, I guess if you will, related to this Quixel and Starfield spacesuit anomaly. However, I do have a couple confirmed pieces of information for today's video as well, some very interesting stuff, something that piggybacks off of this ongoing spy team mystery, something else that dictates some big projects are going to be released from Bethesda Game Studios. It is Saturday, it is the weekend, which means that not much news is going down over the weekend unless it's like those old school 4chan leaks like Mama used to make, but thankfully Mama isn't in the kitchen right now making these 4chan leaks for once, and I can talk about something else. Hopefully you all are having a good weekend. Let's get to today's news and information. We have yet another Bethesda developer leaving, and this is like, what, 10 now or something? Because over the last couple of months, some pretty high-key developers were leaving Bethesda Game Studios. That means Bethesda Game Studios in Maryland and Bethesda Game Studios in Austin, so the location that is definitely working on Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6, and then the location that's working on Fallout 76, and apparently another game, which I'll get to here in a second. But there have been a lot of high-profile developers leaving Bethesda Game Studios, some of which have been at Bethesda for over 10 years, and yet we have another one leaving Bethesda, this one going to IO Interactive to work as a lead sound designer. And by now there definitely has to be some kind of pattern going down. There has to be one of two things going down at Bethesda Game Studios, because there have been so many people leaving in such a short amount of time that it has to be indicative of something. And this is something I've broken down in previous videos, because anytime we get a round of people leaving Bethesda, I break it down. And like I've said in previous videos, this has to mean something either good or bad, because I don't know why this would just be a neutral ground thing. I mean, yes, it is possible that all these developers and stuff just all decided at the same time that they want to pursue something new at a different company, but I mean, the chances of that happening compared to the other two options are low. So the first option is something bad is going on within Bethesda. Ooh, mystery bad time. Maybe Todd Howard is hitting people, or maybe they just aren't happy being partnered with Microsoft. But there's two things that kind of, like, I guess, debunk that scenario. First of all, I doubt Todd Howard would go around and hit people. He just doesn't seem like the kind of guy. And the second thing is, most every other developer, most every person, exec or game developer or artist or whatever, that has been asked or quoted on the Microsoft purchase of Bethesda has said it's great. It's something that makes sense, and even though they were surprised by it at first, after being in the situation for a little bit, they totally understand it and they're happy with it. And a lot of people got bonuses too. So it would be kind of crappy for you to leave the company after you got a bonus, but I mean, I guess there still might be people not happy with the Microsoft thing that decided to leave. But what I think is happening, and this is something that actually is backed up by a lot of other people in the gaming industry, a lot of insiders and other gaming journalists, the ones that actually play games, they say anytime something like this happens, it means a big project is about to be released, because generally a lot of these people are actually hired via a contractual basis, meaning they are hired to do a specific thing for a specific project, and when that project is finished, their contract is finished, and they leave the company, or maybe they get hired again on another contract, or they get permanently hired. But either way, there have been some definite people on a contractual basis that have left Bethesda very recently, and some of these are artists, and some of them are actually people who have worked at Bethesda for over like 10 years, like programmers and stuff, who aren't hired on a contractual basis. So with all this in mind, with my rambling being brought together now, my point is that if all these different Bethesda developers are leaving, some of which have been at BGS for a long time, and some of which are only hired on a contractual basis, that's indicative of a project being finished. And all these people are working on Starfield. So if we have high-tier programmers leaving, high-tier artists leaving who are hired on a contractual basis, sound designers leaving, all these different people leaving Bethesda, it has to mean that the project is almost finished. Because the other alternative is that they decided to leave Bethesda before the project was finished, and potentially left Bethesda and Starfield in a state to where people who were working on something just stepped away from it and left it unfinished. And that's a bad thing, because yes, all these people have similar skill sets, like similar programming skill sets and stuff, but the thing is, an artist especially, if you don't finish something and you leave it unfinished, it's going to be hard for a different artist to step into your shoes and do what you were doing with the mindset you had. It's better for an artist to actually create an entire thing from the ground up to its fruition and until it's finished, because that way it'll have a cohesive design and creative direction, rather than just having all these different people with different creative directions stepping in and trying to like take different pieces of someone else's work and making it whole. That's why I think that this is very indicative of Starfield being finished, especially because some of these developers have been at BGS for over 10 and some up to like 14 years. So if you're that loyal to Bethesda, you would leave them in a situation that benefits everyone involved. You wouldn't just be like, it's all about me, I'm going to a different company now because me. I mean, there's people like that for sure, but that's definitely not what's going to happen here, in my opinion. But the point is, another developer is leaving. This is like 10 now. This has to mean something, right? So unless your team, this is bad for Bethesda, which is a very small percentage chance, you have to be team, this means Starfield is almost finished, or at least Starfield is entered into the very last stages of development, meaning all Q&A, all bug testing, and like I discovered in previous videos, they just hired contractual basis QA testers too, meaning game testers that are only going to test Starfield and then probably dip. So stuff is going on for Starfield. Team Starfield 2021 reveal is definitely like 100% now. I'm almost confident that the game will come out this year as well. If the game doesn't come out this year, I would say it has to come out early next year. But let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video, because BGS Austin is apparently working on another game, which is something I've already been talking about for a while now. They're looking for a server engineer to help create and improve systems for an unannounced title, and I've been saying BGS Austin is working on a game for a long time, and the only thing I know from my inside sources is that this game is a multiplayer game of some kind, but I mean, that would make sense anyway, because Bethesda Game Studios Austin is generally a multiplayer location. They've worked on Fallout 76, and before that, they were Battlecry Studios, and they were making a game called Battlecry, which was like an online hero shooter game. It looked similar maybe to Overwatch or something. I don't really play those style of games too much, but I understand they are a ton of fun. But it would make sense that who used to be Battlecry Studios and is now Bethesda Game Studios Austin would probably still want to make that kind of game, and there is a trademark for a game named Spy Team that was trademarked a long time ago by Bethesda that we haven't heard anything about yet. So we're kind of getting to the point in time to where we should hear about whatever this Spy Team project is, but bear in mind, Giant Monster News is a trademark that has been renewed for years and years and years, and Bethesda still owns it, and we have no idea what Giant Monster News is, although I believe that Giant Monster News is going to be a game made by Alpha Dog Games, which is Bethesda's mobile game studio, or at least another one of their mobile game studios. But basically, there's a lot of information going down about a Bethesda Game Studios Austin game, a new IP that's supposed to be a multiplayer game, and I believe this game will be Spy Team. And this will take us to the last thing I want to talk about in today's video, which we're going to go through real quick, so get your speculation salt ready, because you're going to need it for this. You're going to need to just rub the speculation salt into your eyes, and it's going to burn, but you're going to need it to look at this, because yes, I talked about the spacesuit from Quixel yesterday, and some people still don't think it's related to Starfield, and they try to like call me out on it, even though in my video I specifically said I don't think it's related to Starfield, but there are similarities. So I mean, people should probably listen to what the heck I'm saying before they try to tell me their opinion on what I'm saying. That's knowing what I'm saying is kind of an important thing to form an opinion on what I'm saying about. But either way, this is another leaked Starfield image from the 2018 build, and you can see this is Mr. Spacesuit Man. So yes, thank you, Mr. Spacesuit Man, for existing, but this is Quixel Spacesuit Man, who's different. But in case you're not familiar with the situation, you should watch today's video. But the TL Doctor, the TLDR, and real quick, is basically, there was a Unreal Engine live stream yesterday, and during this Unreal live stream, they showed Quixel assets, or texturing using Quixel. And what Quixel is a company that makes high-quality textures, sometimes even spread over a large map area. But basically, Quixel makes very, very high-level textures, and they are linked to working with Bethesda Game Studios. They did help develop the trailer for The Elder Scrolls 6, helping Bethesda with some texturization purposes. And if you look at this Spacesuit Man that they showed us in their stream yesterday, it looks very similar to the Spacesuit Man from the leaked Starfield images. And people sent this my way, so I gave you my take on things. And even though I don't think this is a Starfield guy in the Quixel image, what I believe happened is there was a base prefab spaceman in like a spacesuit made, and either Quixel used the spacesuit created by Bethesda from Starfield, or Bethesda used the Quixel asset spacesuit for Starfield and just edited it, because there are some very obvious similarities here. I mean, obviously a spacesuit is going to have similar stuff and similar technology, but I mean, there's just some stuff that stands out to me here. The jetpack's a little bit different, but there is a jetpack for some reason, and one strange thing that stands out to me that I haven't seen in too many spacesuits is this strange, like, PP knee tube, or whatever this thing is. I don't know if this is, like, for PP times, or if this is, like, to keep the knee hydrated, because their knees specifically specifically needs to be hydrated. Maybe it just continuously runs like an irrigation of Gatorade over their knee. I don't know what this is, but there's a tube leading from some sort of like device on their back or somewhere on their suit, leading down into the knee area. You can see this on the leaked Starfield images, and you can see something like this in the Quixel thing as well. Now, I'm not an expert in space technology or anything. Maybe this is something that exists right now in like actual spacesuits that astronauts and cosmonauts use, but I don't know. But there are some similarities in this, and in particular, that knee tube just stands out to me too, and just the overall design in both of these suits. Like I said, there are some stuff that's definitely different. It's not the same exact suit, and it's not a retexture of one suit to another, but it looks like that an asset was changed and was based off the other asset. But like I said, this is just some heavy speculation salt. Enough people have been sending me this, so I figured I should talk about it in today's video as well, like I did in yesterday's video. But that basically finishes up everything I want to talk about in today's video. As always, if you're hyped for Starfield, if you're curious for what Spy Team is, if you think this spacesuit is the same spacesuit, or if you just enjoy the content in general, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And as always, huge shout out and much appreciation to the following amazing people for going above and beyond to support the channel and bring you content like this. If you want to get a permanent future video shout out in every single one of my videos from this point forward, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when it turns out it was just a PP tube, but for some reason it drips the PP on your knee. What the fuck?
It just works.